All right, this is a new one. Jake Barber says that Shawn Ryan was spreading some disinformation about UAP on purpose. That's the claim. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that and more that comes out of this particular clip that was pulled from. He's doing a lot of interviews out there. So want to get into that, discuss that. If you are here today, thank you for joining us. We have quite a lot to talk about. Hopefully today I can try to get a couple of videos out. It's just been a crazy week, so I've been keeping up on everything and making a note of everything that is coming out. And there's just a lot to go over. And it's like trying to pick exactly which stories has been tough because there is a lot. And a lot of these stories are involving Mr. Barber, who is involved in that Skywatcher program, which I found fascinating. I don't know if you guys had a chance to check that out yet. But take a look at this clip. I want to play this, and then we'll discuss this and see what you guys think. Here you go. Look at this.
Shawn Ryan was there at the time with us in D.C. when this happened, and we talked about this. Shortly after that is when Herrera went on his show, and the thing took a kind of a dark turn because the term human trafficking was slapped on this thing. And when you hear that, you think of slavery and sex trafficking and all these things. And it's my understanding that's not at all what goes on in these operations. It's no different than someone setting up any other type of business, and the people come willingly. The people that work in these programs, it's a great job. It's fun. Some of them have known their whole life that they have this intuition or this special talent, and they're socially awkward or have other pathologies, social pathologies that they're dealing with too, that somehow seems like it plays into this. So it's like, not all the people that are talented in this way are normal in every other way. It's like God created some balance. So when they can come in and get involved in this program and have food and shelter and be treated with respect and make money, like if you went down there on your high horse representing the United States and morality and went in and tried to liberate these people, they'd be like, get out of here. We don't want to be liberated. This is our job.
Can I play devil's advocate for 1 second? I think in the Michael Herrera testimony, he thought that whatever organization this paramilitary group was from was taking advantage of the fact that Indonesia was this disaster zone.
Right.
And some of these people could go missing easily.
Yes.
And so that, to me, sounds
that's
a little
one
more...
theory. Or the hurricane, the natural disaster was actually threatening a workspace for this operation, and they needed to get the hell out of Dodge.
Got it.
I have no firsthand experience with that operation, nor direct contact with anyone involved with it. I know of that type of operation. I know of that craft. I know of those containers. And I know of operations that sounded like. And so the whole point of all this, and let me put a big giant red bow on it for you, is that this was one, I saw a good Marine up there when I saw Mike. I saw a brother in arms doing his best to be put now with a microphone in his face in a fucking suit and tie in Washington, D.C., when he's cut out to be carrying a saw through the jungle. And now he's doing his best, and he's an honest, good guy, and I wasn't going to let him hang. So I sidebarred Greer and a bunch of other people and said, we need to talk about this. I thanked Michael. And I have been loyal to him throughout the process and trying to help him as much as I can get support for this, while also trying to stay low key to figure out where the problems and landmines are with this issue.
All right. Thank you to Red Panda Koala for pulling that clip. And then obviously it came from the Jesse Michaels interview on American Alchemy, which if you're not checking out Jesse's stuff, he's doing incredible work over there. So this conversation in general of what he's saying here, you know, that, look, this is that Shawn Ryan was there. It was more about the Michael Herrera stuff and this op. And it's what I get nervous about when it comes to this, right? Because I'm looking at what I just saw in the Skywatcher thing, and I'm on board with Jake Barber and his claims, and I'm on board with the team that he's working with and the stuff that's going out there. My problem is when we start getting into the he said stuff of and Jesse goes, well, let me give you the devil's advocate thing. What about this? And he's like, well, yeah, that's one way, or it could be this. And pushing back to his point of what he said, as far as like they're just trying to get out of there to cover up the mission or whatever it was, to get people out of there, and explaining what the actual program was and what it was painted as on Shawn Ryan's show. And so it's like kind of like a subtle shot in there that Jake was like, well, Shawn kind of knew what it actually was, and still it was on there, and they were discussing it as the human trafficking and other things of that nature. But it's more about overall what the conversation steered towards the end, and even the conversation where, and this is one of the things I was going to talk about on yesterday's video. I just didn't have a chance to get to it, but Barber approached Stephen Greer, has spoken to Stephen Greer. There's a lot more that was said inside of that conversation that he was clear about. So it seems like he is being very outspoken against a lot of people in the community in general about trying to get away from misinformation and things of that nature. And that's ultimately what I read into in this clip. And he's out there talking to everybody right now. He wants to get the word out. It came. He even said as much to that interview with Alex on the Skywatchers documentary, where he said, "Look, David Grush came out. It was very brave. Did open the doors, and now it's essentially our job to go out there and keep talking." And when he brings up the Shawn Ryan side of it, Shawn Ryan has had a lot of people on his show and has been a very good source of information for people to put their stories out there, right? But there is a lot going on with that show in general, because again, I wasn't on air for like the week or two that this was happening, but there was when the Cybertruck explosion happened, there was a lot going on with Shawn Ryan, where he said that there was the manifest stuff, and he knew some things and kind of shut down for a little bit, and there was a lot going on with him in general. And then that kind of subsided a little bit. And now the most recent thing with his show is that he had Chris Bledsoe on, and they had a long interview. They took pictures together. And then there was apparently, I don't know what happened, but he said he didn't want to be associated with what was said inside of the interview, so he's not airing it, whether it's him, his producers, whatever it might be. If I'm getting that wrong, please let me know in the comments, but that's what I read through social media. So when Barber is calling him out as far as airing stuff that simply wasn't true, is that now the fault of the interviewer inside of it? The answer is normally no, it's not. But his point was that Shawn Ryan was there and should have either said something or directed the conversation in a different way. That's how I read it. But there's a lot here of this. This is one of those things, though, and this is anything. This is any business. This is any community. This is anything in general. As much as you'd like to wish that everybody was on the same page, it's like there's always people in different corners, in different pockets. And it seems like, Barber's on a separate pocket from other people, but he's still trying to make himself friendly to other pockets, whether it's a Stephen Greer or whoever it might be. So what do you make of all this? What do you make of all the interviews in general with Barber and what he's been doing and how outspoken he has been, and then the claims that Shawn Ryan willfully just kind of aired misinformation even though he knew it to not be true? What say you? Put your thoughts out there. Let me know. I'm probably going to cover the Stephen Greer thing a little later, but have to see what I can get done. Click, subscribe, do all that. Thanks for joining us here today. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you later.